All right, so this is our budget special edition today where we will begin the week by focusing on taxpayers and the kind of demands or expectations they have. We all know that we have two tax structures right now, the old tax structure where you get benefits as per ATC and other sections, and you have a new tax structure where you do not get any tax benefits or SOPs, but you have a lot of money in your hand. So, talking about expectations, we know since a lot of years ATC has not been touched, no more changes over there, and also a lot of people, although are going towards a new tax slab or the new tax structure, should we be expecting any kind of tax swaps or any kind of relief on that front? Let's get on board our guest today, Ketan Dalal, Managing Director, Katalyst Advisors. Ketan, hi, good evening and welcome to the Money Show. And Ketan, although it is a vote on account, we all know that 2019, also an interim budget, we got a lot of surprises from the Modi government, and a lot is being said on the same lines to be happening in this vote on account also. So talking about announcements for a tax person or for a salaried person, the analysis so far is such that 60% of the crowd is still with the old tax structure. Okay, although the new tax structure has more tax slabs and you get more disposable income in your hand, it seems that a lot of people, a lot of taxpayers, salary class, they are opting more towards the old tax structure, also because you get the benefit on home loan interest deduction over there. So looking at this number, should we be expecting any changes or any kind of additions, especially on the home loan interest deduction, because that is something which a lot of people are anticipating and even sources are saying. So we also have other expectations which might be coming, which might be, we might see them coming as far as our taxpayer is concerned, but specifically about home loan, because this is something that's been untouched since a very long time, Ketan.
Yeah, so Kavita, as you yourself mentioned, this is more like a vote on account, but yes, one cannot rule out the possibility of some SOPs within the electoral constraints. So I think let me broad base your question of home loans into three parts, Kavita. One is in relation to housing, second is relation to education, and third is medical. And all of these are significant, sort of pressures on the wallet. And home loans, of course, is very important, as you said. And the amount of home loan deduction is very, very small. If I remember rightly, 1.5 lakh, that's very small. And I'm not sure whether to call it an expectation, but certainly it's a demand that it should be increased. But I think the broader issue, as you said, is also that 60% are under the old regime. And, when you use the word salaried class, Kavita, I think it's important for us and for your viewers to understand that salary class is a very generic term. A person drawing 5 lakhs is a salaried class, and person drawing 5 crores is also a salaried class. And the number of people in the higher slabs is now slowly increasing. So with that, with the 10 lakh minimum threshold for the highest rate to kick in is also very unreasonable. I think it really needs to be increased, and I think the rate also of 36% is 39% actually, because you don't claim a deduction, is also very high. So I think it's not just a question of home loans, but I think one has to look at it holistically. But I'm not sure how much can be done or will be done on February 1. But certainly one hopes that when the new government is in place, so say June or July, one would be hoping that there is a reduction in rates, there is an increase in slabs, and not only not only the home loan, but also education and medical are also dealt with as a sort of holistic package for individuals. I wouldn't just say salaried class.
Ketan, a lot of analysts and reports are also saying that, looking at the interest towards the old tax regime, the government might just also look into increasing the basic exemption limit. We also got an exclusive on NPS because that's something, this pension scheme is very close to the Modi government also. So a lot of tweaking and especially, having the option of guaranteed pension can also be included. So these kind of these kind of reports in line with the kind of demand we've been seeing from taxpayers and also ATC, Ketan. You know, it's been a very long time since we've seen any more addition as far as investment instruments are concerned in this particular tax benefit section. It's been untouched. It's just gone. It's never been addressed in terms of increasing the 1.5 lakhs limit as well. So can we expect something on these lines? I mean, obviously we can't be saying something on short basis right now, but it's been a long pending demand from a taxpayer.
Kavita, if you see the trend of tax legislation over the last few years, and it is not only for individuals, but also for corporates, the whole trend is towards simplifying the law. And the more exemptions you put in, the more complexities you create. I think that the better way to address it is to reduce the rates of tax rather than doing all these complexities. Having said which, as a boost to savings, so let's say PPF, okay, for example, one of the reasons that the PPF scheme has been successful has certainly been 8IC, without doubt. And there again, the limit of 1.5 lakhs, and as you know very well, Kavita, it's not only for PPF, but it's for a whole basket of things. And the section goes on and on and on for 5 pages. And by the time you come to the end, you forget what the beginning said. It's just too complex. So one, I think it is better to reduce the rates of tax. And as I said, I don't know whether that's an expectation or a demand, and I think it's both. But I think if at all, one wants to go down the path of giving incentives, I absolutely agree that 1.5 lakhs is neither here nor there. Particularly because it's for a whole basket of things and it is not just for PF or PPF. So, but as I said, I think the better thing would be to reduce the rates of tax without doubt, because I think that may also make the law simpler and make it more equitable. Because remember that even corporates are taxed at 25% now, and to have a 39% rate at the maximum level, and for a tax rate maximum to start at 10 lakhs is very aggressive to my mind.
Person is definitely more than corporate. So Ketan, what would be your demand or your expectation? I mean, even you are a taxpayer, right? So what is it that you would want from the FM as a taxpayer?
We are talking of the money show and individual, so I'll restrict myself to that. So I mentioned already, I think the tax rate at 39% maximum, and the maximum starting at just over 10 lakhs is very high. And I think the slab of 10 definitely needs to be increased, whether it is to 20 lakhs or 15 lakhs or 25 lakhs is something which I'm sure they'll have to do the budget arithmetic on that. The second point is that if at all you're giving incentives for savings, you have to increase it. But as I said at the beginning of this conversation, Kavita, I think the three things that need to be addressed, one, you already said in the beginning, one is the home loans part, second is medical, and the third is education. Because these three things are causing the maximum drain on the pocket. That's one part of it. The second, if you look at a completely different thing, let's say ESOPs. ESOPs in between for many years when the market was not doing well were quote unquote out of fashion. Now again, ESOPs have become important, and the taxability of ESOP, because this is also a matter of individual taxation, Kavita, as you will appreciate. The taxation of ESOP, there has been a long-standing demand that you cannot have a tax at the stage of exercise of an option, because at that stage you're not getting money. You should have it at the stage of monetization. So there's a whole bunch of things like this. But then there is a third item which I want to pick up. Whilst we are talking of individual tax, remember individuals often collaborate, in the form of partnerships or LLPs. So let's say a professional or even a freelancer wants to get together with another freelancer. Now, it may not seem like individual tax, but we need to recognize that two individuals coming together and or three individuals coming together and carrying out a profession or a business in the form of an LLP or partnership. That rate is also 36% compared to 25% for corporates. And I think the reason is that the government seems to believe that because the dividend is taxable in the hands of the shareholder, whereas the LLP and partnerships are a single point taxation. Therefore, the 36 is justified. But I do not think it is that justified. And I think LLPs, and there are reasons for that, but LLPs and partnership rates of tax also, I think, need to come down, because if you really see, that is actually nothing but another form of individual taxation. It's an individual being taxed in a different form, because that's the way his commercial needs to carry on his profession or his business. So I think would be, so one is rates of tax, second is partnership and LLP rate of tax, third is a minimum slab rate needs to be go up, fourth is ESOP tax, and fifth I would say is, as I said, some kind of reliefs for home loans, education and medical.
Apart from this, Ketan, if we have to focus on structural changes in NPS and introduction of minimum guaranteed pension scheme, how much do you think this will make NPS as a retirement product really attractive? Okay, so we know there are tax benefits as per ATC and ATCCD that you get by investing in NPS, but the withdrawal is taxed in the sense you have to buy an annuity which will be taxed when you get it in your hand. So apart from that, if there is an option of getting a minimum guarantee pension, do you think this will really add on to this entire product? And NPS, you know, the government is also trying to make it very investor friendly, but so far has not been very successful, okay, as an investment instrument. An addition of a minimum pension guarantee scheme will get all the eyeballs that they need?
Well, I think so. Now, whether the arithmetic works out for the government and what are the fiscal implications, I would not be able to say. But I think from just if you see from an ask perspective or an attractiveness perspective, Kavita, certainly the minimum pension will minimum guaranteed pension will help. But you know, there's one additional point I want to make about NPS, Kavita. You know, you have an NPS 1 and an NPS 2. The NPS 2 does not involve an annuity. It functions like a mutual fund. But the NPS 2, although functioning like a mutual fund, does not have the tax benefits of a mutual fund. So it may also be necessary to address NPS 2, although really NPS 1 is it affects a much larger proportion. By the way, you cannot create an NPS 2 unless you have an NPS 1. So you can create an NPS 1 with, say, 1 lakh of rupees, account, and you may have 1 crore of rupees in it.
Ketan, you mean the tier 1, tier 2 account under NPS?
Correct. Tier 1, tier 2. Okay. Sorry. That is the correct terminology. Correct.
Right.
That's true.
Right. All right. So I did ask you a question on if you were a taxpayer and if you had to present your demands. Let me also put this question to you. If you were a finance minister, what kind of budget would you present?
I have already said that, Kavita. I'm not the finance minister, and there are electoral constraints, of course, but more importantly, the fact that the elections are coming up and this is more likely to be a vote on account. I think many of the things that we discussed, Kavita, to be realistic and not to be overly optimistic, I suspect, well, I hope some of this is addressed on February 1, but I suspect that the majority of this, if at all, can be addressed only when the full budget is presented and not when a interim stroke vote on account kind of budget is presented, as will be the situation this Friday.
So let's see what happens on 1st Feb. And in the meantime, thank you so much, Ketan, for being on the show and helping our viewers with this today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kavita. Thank you so much.
Let's slip into a quick break, and post that, let's take your mutual fund portfolio related queries, and our live callers will be joining in. In case you also want to send us your questions, you can WhatsApp your questions, also email us.